what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Just want to do a real quick breakdown of Levi Wallace's first interception off Jimmy G on Sunday Night Football from the Steelers-Raiders game this past week. I just wanted to really kind of break down this play in general, and I think it's a good chance for me to give you guys just kind of a little bit of an insight on how complex like some of these calls can be and the reasoning behind them. So just before we get started, please make sure that you like the video, subscribe to the channel, drop me a comment. All that stuff's greatly appreciated, and let's get to it. And just really quick, I'm going to let this play through all the way from the all-22 view so that you guys can get a really good understanding and a good visual on kind of how this thing fully plays out before I kind of break down each of the individual assignments that lead to the interception. All right, so now that you guys have seen the all-22 view, just kind of want to go over all the assignments here from the defensive perspective that led to the interception. As you guys know, NFL defenses aren't just zone coverage or man coverage. You've got zone match principles, or in this case, I think you have more man match principles. So basically what's going to end up happening here is the Steelers are going to have a 3-by-1 check on. So NFL defenses will carry checks for these 3-by-1 formations, or empty checks for empty formations, or box checks, or anything like that. So it allows them to help pass off these route combinations a lot smoother. And really modern NFL defenses, what they want is to maintain a +1 advantage on both sides of the field. Okay, that's really not anything too crazy. Just think about the fact that you have 3 receivers to the bottom of the screen, and we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 defenders to the bottom of the screen. That's a +1 advantage. We've got 1, 2 offensive players at the top of the screen. We got 1, 2, 3 defensive players. So let's break this thing down and just kind of get into some of the responsibilities. So right here, we're going to have Patrick Peterson lined up man-to-man against Davante Adams everywhere he goes. This is going to be, this play call, Stubby 4 is what I'm going to tag it as after kind of reaching out to some other people that are a lot smarter than I am. In the Saban world, Stubby, they'll always put this number 1 corner at the bottom in man everywhere he goes coverage, and that's because this is typically the least targeted receiver in the 3-by-1 formations. It's the longest throw for the quarterback. It's typically not the number 1 read in the progression. From there, we're going to have what's called a triangle read. So on offense, we talk about all the time triangle reads for the quarterback. This is going to be a triangle read for these 3 defenders. And what that's going to allow us to do is have a +1 advantage to defend these 2 guys, okay? So real quick, we'll kind of get into the weeds on what that means. So you see that this linebacker right here is playing inside leverage on number 3. So he is going to wall off and play inside leverage heavy. He's got this guy technically in coverage. Outside leverage cornerback, slot cornerback Chandon Sullivan right here on Hunter Renfrow. And then you've got this safety, Minkah Fitzpatrick. The way this is going to play out is going to be like man match, okay? But instead of playing out like Stubby, where typically this safety would be reading the number 2 receiver, he's going to actually be reading the intentions of the number 3 receiver. And what that does is it basically makes this thing play out like quarters. So you think about if you have quarters coverage here, you'd have your deep quarter, you'd have your middle field player, and then you'd have your seam flat player. Okay, so that's how this is going to end up working out. But the way that they have this 3-over-2 coverage, it's going to allow them to pass off these crossers. So if this guy were to come underneath on this shallow, this linebacker is going to easily be able to take him and going to allow Fitzpatrick and Chandon Sullivan to effectively bracket this number 2 receiver, Hunter Renfrow. But it doesn't play out like that. You guys see how it plays out. We're going to get man coverage right here with Chandon Sullivan on Hunter Renfrow working vertically. And then we're going to get kind of a return route from the number 3 receiver. He's going to kind of go up and press out to the sideline against this linebacker. Now, the reason why they want Fitzpatrick to be reading the number 3 receiver right here is because this is the matchup that the offense wants, right? Anytime offenses can scheme up a way to get a receiver on a linebacker, this is a good counter of a play call to help give this guy some help, okay? So this guy's going to come up, and he's going to press out immediately. And I'll play the video one more time, but you'll notice that Fitzpatrick triggers on this really hard. This is not the greatest of a route right here from the number 3 receiver, but Fitzpatrick does a good job triggering hard and effectively moves Jimmy G off of his first read in the progression to force him up top here. Now, up top, we really got a pretty simplistic call. We're going to just play this thing like man-to-man. So the linebacker, Cole Holcomb's going to take Josh Jacobs out of the backfield, and then Levi Wallace is going to take Michael Mayer And then we've got the safety help over the top, okay? So one of the things that we'll do here, Levi Wallace is going to get immediately into what's called a trail technique, to where he's going to be trailing the receiver, or in this case, a tight end. So Levi does a good job. He's been around. He's a vet, been around the league for a long time. So he knows a tight split from the number one receiver up here, especially from a tight end, we're probably going to get some type of in-breaking route to this space in the middle of the field. You think about the team that they're playing, okay, the Raiders, they like to run a lot of dig routes, a lot of in-breakers. So Wallace does that, and he plays that to his advantage. He's going to let Mayer stack him, but as soon as Mayer gets to the first down marker, he's going to jump to that low hip and effectively going to give himself a easy interception. So really nice play. It's not the most complex thing in the world. The way that this thing plays out is pretty clean, but I do think it's an interesting play call, and I wanted to break it down just so I could give you guys kind of an explanation on why this thing was so effective. I'll kind of pause this really quick. You'll see Jimmy G have to pat this ball right here, and you can see, the linebacker's playing inside leverage. He's got really good coverage. But Minkah Fitzpatrick's playing literally flat-footed, and he is going to drive on this ball as if it was, quarters coverage. And that takes Jimmy G off of the first read in his progression, especially when number 39 is there. You don't want to leave the ball in harm's way. Forces him to the backside dig, and you can see Wallace immediately getting this trail technique. This is trail technique where you got help over the top. It's not like he's worried about Mayer running by him anyway. Does a really good job understanding where the sticks are. It kind of gets under that, undercuts to the low hip, and comes away with the interception. So hopefully you guys like the video. If you guys want to see more kind of technical breakdowns of some stuff like this, some defensive scheme stuff, please be sure to let me know in the comments, and I will check you guys next time. Peace.